No. Okay, there we go. And I hear some feedback. But Kansas City's first global community radio station, you are most likely listening to and watching the show on KUAW radio on Facebook. But also, you can type in KUAW spacebar radio or just the letters KUAW on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Periscope, and the TuneIn app. Now, the TuneIn app, you're not going to see anyone. You're just going to hear it. We are excited today. We have back in the studio. Y'all got to excuse me. I just got so much stuff going on, and I've been doing a lot. And I want to shout out Charles Zali, who was my guest. I want to say last week or a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, Charles Zali. I did an interview for his show, and he tapped me for my entrepreneurial information. So y'all get to see a different side of me on the 8+1 the classroom. But we got my son back, Jorge Fuller for the people, the hardest working educator in Kansas City, Missouri. How you doing today, son?
I'm doing wonderful, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
Go ahead. Can you go ahead and say something?
All right, I just want to make sure everything is
There's an
working.
echo.
I am Georgia Jorge Fuller for the people. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook with Jorge Fuller for the people. I represent Fuller for the People LLC as well, which stands on the platform of educational prosperity, economic progress, and civic relationships. So I love that I get 2 minutes here on the Lyne't Gray Show on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, because that gives me the opportunity to share some knowledge with some understanding and a little bit of wisdom that's been sprinkled to me. So those that are tuning in and following on all the platforms, thank you again for paying attention. Tonight's Dos Minutos are going to be really, really quick. I have three house bills that I want you to make sure that you take.
Hold on, son, because Facebook just shut down on us. It's coming back though, so I want everybody to hear what you're saying. Is it back up?
It is now on my side.
Okay, it's back up. Go ahead.
All right. For those that are tuning in on Facebook, I would suggest that you transition over to YouTube.
YouTube, please.
It is
Thank
streaming
you.
pretty well. I have that up on my phone right now, so I just have it on a very low volume. I wanted to give my dos minutos with Jorge. Today's lesson quickly is going to be three house bills that I want you to make sure you take a look at, research, and check into. Talk to your representatives about. They're on the Education Committee, House Bill 1474, 1747, and 1995. Those House bills are impacting parental rights, educational opportunities within the space, enacting board opportunities, being able to take people off of actual voted in boards if they're not conducting themselves to a certain standard or by the standards of status quo. And then lastly, talking about the support of CRT and actually removing CRT, which is critical race theory, which is the buzzword, but talking about removing diversity, equity, and inclusion within the classroom and curriculum spaces and the honest truth of history. If you read those bills, you will see that it sounds very wonderful. It sounds like a great opportunity, but I'm telling you now, it is actually taking us back years, decades worth of evolution within education. When you take away parental rights or saying that parents don't have rights, so we need to enforce this, I promise you, if you do your research, you already know that parents have the most rights when it comes to education. You can become an elected official by joining the school board. If you're at a charter school, you just request and take that opportunity when the administration says, yes, you should be a board member. If you're at a public school, you run for that office. It's an elected seat. You have the authority to make an impact for not only your student, but every student in that district. So when they say that you don't have that opportunity, you do. Don't think that, oh, it's an education, I need to have this level of education. No, you just need to be a citizen in good standing to run for those offices. The last thing I wanted to say, please, people, do your research before you go out here and try to sound woke. Missouri has the opportunity. It has a holiday already. I saw a post that said, "I wish we celebrated Malcolm X the same way we celebrate Dr. King." In Missouri, privileged to know this with House Representative, former Representative Brandon Ellington, current councilman for 3rd District at large. Brandon Ellington proposed the bill, got it passed. There's a holiday in the state of Missouri that is honoring Malcolm X. It is Malcolm X Day, so please don't tell me that we don't celebrate Malcolm X in the same capacity as we do Dr. King when we actually do. Make sure you do your research before you share information. And then lastly, Missouri has already passed the same bill or resolution or policy change that happened in Kansas. You only have to be 18 to be a substitute. You have to do a training on the Missouri side, pass that training, and then you are able to get a certification license. Or you can continue with having 60 college credit hours and a 2.5 GPA and request a sub certificate. Age is not a requirement or indicative of your ability or aptitude to teach children. If you have that opportunity, you have that passion, I suggest you start off as a sub before you go to college and get your full sub or your full teacher license, because we want to make sure that is the spirit that you're supposed to be in, and it's a permanent career, not just a stop through. Thank you for these 2 minutes. I hope we continue on this phenomenal episode of the Nene Gray Show.
Thank you, son. We appreciate you, I thank you so much for taking time. Y'all don't realize that he is a very busy man, like very busy, and he's you are. Tell your position with the Kansas City School District, because we want to congratulate you all on achieving the, after what was it, 20 years full accreditation again.
Well, I'm gonna say I am first and foremost a alumni of Kansas City Public Schools. So before anything else, I am a graduate of Southeast High School, class of 2006. I always love to make sure people know and recognize that even though we have a reputation that doesn't precede us in a positive manner, it is always that we are producing excellence in all of our schools through diligence and dedication. I currently serve as a recruiter, or as the recruiter for Kansas City Public Schools, recruiting for all positions, not only as a teacher, but administration, custodial, food service, anything you can think of. I actually recruit and review all of the people that are coming in to teach your student, your child, and being a part of that community. And accreditation is wonderful to finally be acknowledged when you have met the metrics and standards that were supposed to have been met a long time ago. So you should be able to do that, and I'm glad the state finally does so.
Congratulations to the Kansas City Public Schools. Dr. Bedell, I knew he was about his business when I heard his background that he comes from, and I saw that he put a daycare in Central High School. That told me that he was fully invested in our children, and I truly appreciate him as a parent who was actively seeking office for the district and an active parent in the district for many, many years. So we're now going to segue over to, I'm so excited, y'all. Yeah, first off, I want to say I am so incredibly proud of this woman who sits next to me. When y'all see me say little sister online and y'all see me sharing her stuff, her food is the real deal. It is the real deal. When I give some to my son who eats meat, he's like, Mama, this is meat. I'm like, nah, she don't touch nothing that got anything to do with meat. So I want to welcome everyone. I want everyone to give an amazing welcome to the owner of Blissful Soul Kitchen. Let me go ahead and read her bio to you all so you can understand her passion and why her food is so absolutely amazing. And y'all know, I tell everybody I'm a fat chick, so I like to eat. But if it ain't good, I ain't going to eat it. I'm picky about what make me fat. Hold on. And I had it up here, and then it turned around and, hold on. Oh, wrong email. Duh. Y'all, my brain is on fried for the month of January, but it'll be all right. Okay, here we go. And she's got some beautiful logos. Absolutely beautiful. Here he is. Okay. It says, greetings. I am Janisha Lachey of Blissful Soul Kitchen. I'm a passionate plant-based chef, and mother who creates healthy, healing meals. In 2013, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and was told it is incurable. I immediately told the doctors that couldn't be true. I was devastated, but knew it didn't make sense for me to not be cured, not to be able to be cured of something I wasn't born with. However, I took the doctor's medication to feel better. Then I started doing research to learn how to heal myself. I found Dr. Sabi, Queen Afua, Dick Gregory, and a ton of other people from all walks of life that had achieved healing from chronic illnesses and autoimmune disorders through a plant-based diet. I tried several different diets, but in 2015, I went plant-based. I stopped taking medication in 2018 and have monitored my symptoms and watched them disappear. My health improved drastically, and I owe it to my determination, listening to what God told me that I could heal myself using fruits and vegetables from the earth. Chef Janisha Lachey. Chef Janisha, we thank you so much for gracing the Lyne't Gray Show. And so tell us, we're going to go back to, you know, how you felt. And people don't understand that when you get a diagnosis, it's shocking at first. Mm-hmm. Then you go into denial, and your denial period, it literally varies for each person. Some people be in denial for years, some are in denial for months, and then they start looking for, you know, a cure.
Right.
Tell us immediately, you know, how long did it take for you with your denial and then jump into searching for your cure?
Right. Well, as I stated in the bio, I didn't really believe them from the very beginning. However, you're right. I was much younger. I was in denial. They didn't give me the right information from the very beginning. You know, the doctor pretty much said, and I didn't have a primary physician, so I just went to a doctor for my symptoms, which were very severe. It's a little gruesome to talk about, but I want
talk about it, please.
Okay,
yes.
I want people to Google also, because any digestive disorder called, which is in the irritable bowel syndrome family, it ranges from Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, IBS, leaky gut, diverticulitis, all of that stuff, and it's several other gut issues that people have, but all of it varies. So with mine's ulcerative colitis, it causes bloody stools, severe body cramps, headaches, fatigue, extreme night sweats. You can experience weight loss because you can't really eat anything, because everything you eat makes you have extreme bowel movements. And it's sometimes you can't even control it because it's going to come whether you want it to or not, right? So you can't. It affects your whole life. You can't get on a plane when you're sick, when you're in a flare-up. You can't drive maybe more than 20 minutes sometimes. You have to sit at a job and you get a 30-minute break. Maybe you're on the phone. You're constantly going to the restroom depending on what you eat. So that's when I decided in the beginning, when they gave me the first medication, and they have layers of the medication, you know, just kind of like when you have pain, they'll give you the smallest, then this, then that. They do the same thing with gut issues. So they gave me the first pill, and I remember the bottle was like this big, and they told me, once you take these, you'll feel better, the symptoms will reside. And I said, well, I'll get better, like it'll go away. And he said, oh, well, you know, it seems to be mild, because they do what is a colonoscopy. Take the camera in and check out how bad, where it is, because depending on the location of your intestines that it's on also determines what you have, whether it's Crohn's, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, or whatever, right? So once they did that, they seen that it was pretty mild. Now, had I had the mindset when I was first experiencing these symptoms, because they started long before I got diagnosed with it, and that's another thing I'm going to talk about soon. Because your body will talk to you.
Yes.
A lot of times we don't listen.
Yes.
So had I had the mindset then, I was dealing with things in life that prevented me from focusing on my health. I've always been fairly healthy. Growing up, I wanted to be a doctor, so it's no coincidence that I'm where I'm at now.
Yes, you're healing.
So
yes.
Exactly, it was always in a middle and elementary school. I used to read books about anatomy, so I've always loved health in the body. But had I had the mindset to focus, I would have got better much sooner. And had the doctors given me the right information, my mindset also would have been different because that pill, yes, it worked. It just masked the symptoms. So what I did was kept eating the soul food, kept drinking, kept being in a toxic environment, kept everything the same. The pills, 2 weeks, the symptoms subsided. Like I said, I always somewhat ate healthy. I always ate my fruits and vegetables, but ate a ton of other things I shouldn't have probably been eating. And 2 years go by, and I'm fine. Well, 2 years, it came back with a vengeance. And when it came back, by this point, they tried a different medication. Because I had stopped taking the medication because he said, well, once it gets better, you won't really need to take the medicine. But that's why he gave me that big, I think it was probably like 100 pills in that bottle. Because it was a big bottle. And in my mind, I said, why did he give me this big old bottle if it's going to get better? But he kind of like, shooed me off. You're fine. It's going to be okay. But that doctor didn't say this is something you're going to have to live with. When I went to see the next doctors, that's when they told me that. And when they told me that it was incurable, I almost, I can't describe what I went into, but it was to me, it was like they're telling me my life was over. Because I have this little kid. She was I think my oldest daughter was 5 at that point. And I thought I was dying when I first I was scared to go to the doctor because I didn't want to hear that you're dying because at that point I didn't have any life insurance. I had nobody's going to take my daughter, take care of her. So I was scared to go. But when I went and they told me that the second time I went and they told me it was incurable, I immediately said, that's not true. I used some different words.
You do.
But I told them, I said, that can't be true. I wasn't born with this. This happened. Something happened to me that caused this. And I asked them, did I eat something? Did I do something? Did something tear my intestine? As a logical thinker, I said something had to happen inside of me to cause this to happen. How does this?
You wasn't born like that.
No, and that's what I instantly told them. So fast forward, and I dealt with the same set of doctors at this point. And I had a very, I argued with them. All the time.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yes. And it got to the point I didn't want to go see them anymore. So when I started doing my own research because they weren't listening to me at all. They did tell me to keep a food diary, and that is true. I tell people when I talk with people who has any type of digestive issues, you have to understand what your body can tolerate and what it can't. Because like with the different diets, the alkaline, this, that, and the other, I did all of that in the beginning. Okay? I tried everything. Seriously, I did. At one point, I was pescatarian. In the beginning of my transitioning, I did some of the vegan processed foods. So I've tried different things. And what I come to find is that when I eat the most natural is when my body responds the best. So at certain points, I realized that some things bother me a little bit more, like sometimes tomatoes, which is part of the nightshade family.
Nightshades.
Bother me, right. But I've learned that I can tolerate heirloom tomatoes. Very good.
Yes, me too.
See? So it depends on what it is too, even with the because a lot of the foods aren't what our ancestors ate.
Absolutely.
So I have to tell people this too. So I would be up until 1 and 2, 3 in the morning because I couldn't sleep already because of the issues I was dealing with. So I was reading and learning and reading, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna start making everything myself, my sauces, my juice. I invested in a juicer. So in the beginning, I started fasting and juicing because I had to calm my symptoms down. And that I learned from my research from all the other people who had healed themselves, because you have to give your body a resting period.
Absolutely.
And that's what a lot of people find the hardest, but you're not eating anyway because everything you digest is coming right out of you. So I always tell people you have to fast, and you also have to be in tune with whoever or whatever you believe in is your higher power. Because you have nobody. Your family doesn't understand what you're dealing with. Your friends don't understand. When I went plant-based and stopped eating meat, I wouldn't say I lost friends like they didn't want to be friends with me, but I didn't get invited to things anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because now we're going to places that Janisha needs a special diet for. But prior to that, I already didn't eat pork. I stopped eating pork when I was probably 12 or 13. So I already had that restriction, So then once I stopped eating meat altogether, now I can't go out. And then also, a lot of people don't understand when you're running back and forth to the bathroom what's going on. And then a feeling of shame comes upon you because you don't want to tell everybody what's going on because you don't want people to feel sorry for you.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you don't want people looking at you like you're different. And then when you do try to tell people, they don't see how serious it is because then it upsets you. So, at a lot of periods, I felt very isolated. So I had to get my mind right as well, because it really breaks you down mentally. Any gut
diagnosis, yes.
Any gut or whatever type of medical issue you deal with, if no one is going through it, they don't understand.
Absolutely. And and I'm glad you said that because like even when me and my vegan son go out and we'll ask about the sides and we'll be like, do you use any type of like chicken broth or anything? And we've actually had waiters say, we can bring you a piece of lettuce or a piece of broccoli and put some salt and pepper on it. Just like literally. And I'm like, there goes your tip. I would tell them, there goes your tip. You could have just easily said, this is, and I love it when the waiters say, okay, this has nothing but plants in it. So stay right here, order this. We even had someone say, so y'all coming out and spend all this money just to eat sides? We were like, we just want to enjoy the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Everybody don't have to stay at home. So I understand completely what you're saying about people, about how it affects your mental.
It does.
When you have to deal with people, when you have to tell them that you don't eat meat. And one of the things, I'm so glad that you gave the symptoms of ulcerative colitis because I didn't know the symptoms. And I literally had someone text me in October and he told me and I said, that sounds like colon cancer.
That's what I thought I had initially.
Yeah.
Because I don't know much of my family history, but I do know that some of my great grandmother's siblings, I believe, had it. So, and it was dealing with that area of the body. So that's what I initially thought. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. Your mind just goes completely left.
Right. Because if you don't know, when he described his symptoms to me, I was like, that sounds like colon cancer, but he never got back with me, but I know he's okay because he posts on Facebook and stuff. So I know he's okay. But okay, so now we're going to go into, what did you say? You said you wanted to go back to talk about the, you did cover the pre-diagnosis. You did cover that. So now we're going to discuss, how did you settle on, because y'all, it's Blissful Soul Kitchen. And I'm going to have you put your information, while I'm talking or whatever, or during the show or whatever, put your contact information in the comments to the show on the actual live. But if you think you're going to miss meat, and like she said, she does things, her plant-based isn't processed. And so if you think you're going to miss meat, once you eat her food, I gave my son, Dapper Dan, her, he needs your cards. I gave my son, Dapper Dan, her Philly cheesesteak. Well, it's not a Philly cheesesteak. It's a plant-based vegan Philly. That's what it's called, plant-based vegan Philly. He was eating it, and I got the beginning of him biting into it. But as Mr. Walker, you in the shot. And so, I'll give him to him. You can give him more if you want.
Okay.
But he got to eating it, and then he looked at me real concerned, and he said, "Mama, is this meat?" And I said, "Baby, Mama would never do you like that." I said, "I wouldn't." So she bought Mr. Walker and I'm going to show y'all. And her food comes so beautifully packaged. You almost don't want to eat it because it is beautifully, Mr. Walker. Oh, okay, I can see it. Y'all see this? Let me pull it over. See how beautiful that is? Can you tell everybody what it is?
That is a plant-based version of Alfredo and a kale salad with homemade sun-dried tomatoes, and there is some mushrooms in the pasta to mimic shrimp.
And y'all, and then she said, y'all hear she said homemade
Yeah.
sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah.
And here's the sauce. The sauce is absolutely beautiful too.
Yeah, and it's
I'm big on my food being pretty.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I eat with my eyes. I've always ate with my eyes since I was a child. If it didn't look right, I didn't eat it.
This is delicious.
And that's a tahini dressing. Look, now I'm getting excited. I want to talk about why I said homemade.
Go ahead.
Shout out to my mother from another mother, Nadine Ferris. She is a good friend of mine and has been very supportive to my business as well. But I learned a lot from her. She's been plant-based for, I think, 20 years or something like that. And so from listening to her, I've learned a lot of things that I have incorporated into my business. But like I said, I'm always researching.
Right.
So in the beginning, I was doing a lot of the plant-based vegan options because, I'm trying things out. I'm trying to see what works for me. But as I started to learn more about different things that harm our body, like the fillers they put in seasonings. A lot of people don't know they put fillers in seasoning, anti-caking agents, color, a lot of different things. And so prior to even going plant-based, we had went dairy-free because my daughter, I had found out, as I shared with you, that she had ADHD. And so I knew before the diagnosis because I've always been in tune with these things. So once I took her and they verified it, right, I already had known. So I took out sugar. We stopped eating sugar, I think, when she was probably about 3.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I haven't purchased white sugar in years. But when I found out, because I had read the book, The Specific Carbohydrate Diet, that was the very first book I read other than the information that I had been Googling and YouTubing and all the stuff I found online, because it's a lot of information online. But when I saw that book and she talked about her 8-year-old daughter had ulcerative colitis, that scared me, because I'm thinking this is something that happened, because I was 30 when I got diagnosed. So I'm thinking this is something that happened to grown-ups, but it can happen to children. too. I wasn't aware of that. So I took out everything. I almost went crazy. I threw out ketchup, all kinds of stuff in my pantry.
That's what you do when you find out it affects your kids.
Yeah.
Your whole fridge and cabinets are empty.
I did.
I've done that, yeah.
I took out so much stuff, and I read labels, and I know a lot of people like Lori's, but it's garbage.
It's garbage.
Yeah, Lori's is not good for you. So I took out so much stuff and I started reading every label. I read every label, and it's a lot of items that are inside of our ingredients that we use for simple things, that we don't realize are harming us. Like a lot of different gums and, like I said, the anti-caking agents, a lot of chemicals that we're just so used to because we grew up eating it. Our parents gave it to us, and it's second nature. We don't think about it.
Right.
So that's when I started making everything from scratch. And I always loved cooking. I've always been the cook in my family.
Yeah.
My grandmother, before she passed, rest her soul, she always would have me cook for her. And when I was younger, I watched my great-grandmother cook, and she passed when I was 10, so I didn't get to really get in the kitchen with her, but I would always watch her, and everything was always so lovely and beautiful. And she's the one who gave me my love of fruits and vegetables. When I moved with her, each week she let me try a different vegetables I had never tried before, and fruits. And we literally had a chart, and each day I would try a different vegetable or fruit. And that's when I fell in love with. And even though my great grandmother ate ham hocks and piggers and all that, she always ate her fruits and vegetables. So what I decided was I would learn how to make my own dressings, and that's what I started off with. And from there, I did my dressings. I did my barbecue sauce. I have a barbecue sauce that would make you want to smack somebody.
All your food make you want to catch a case, run around smacking people.
But yeah, so I started making everything myself. All my sauces. I even make my own jams and everything that we like that I would go and find in the store, I make myself. And it's time consuming. But I said, you know what? I've had all these years to harm my body. My daughter, she has a chance to grow up different than I did. And I have the knowledge now to make sure she and her children and their children have a different future.
And they pass it down. Because what you did, what it sounds like to me is a lot of people don't realize, because I was raised under my great-grandmother for a little bit too. And plant-based, well, she called it no flesh. She didn't call it plant-based. Yeah. She called it no flesh, but she actually ate butter that was fresh from the cow and churned and
which
stuff
is
like
the best
that.
way to eat it.
And so that was the only thing from flesh that she ate. And like she said, her cows she got her butter from.
Yeah.
The cows were not hurt, they were not harmed, any of that.
Right.
But I tell people the reason why they lasted so long is because those fruits and vegetables and plants and beans and seeds and nuts and that stuff was in their diet. Even those who did eat meat, it was cleaning their body
Yes.
out.
Yes.
So
and the meat was cleaner.
the meat was definitely
It was from
cleaner.
farm to table. They were
Farm to
butchering.
table,
It
absolutely.
wasn't sitting in the store. It wasn't
Right.
getting pumped up full of steroids
and getting color added to it.
Yes, and this is what I tell people who choose to want to eat meat. And some people may get upset with me, but I don't bash people who want to eat meat because everybody's diet is different, and there is science behind, as we talked about, blood type eating.
Blood type eating, yes.
Because I've talked to so many people, and they say that plant-based wasn't for them. It may not be for everybody.
That's
However,
true.
we all can eat healthier, and we can figure out what's best for our body.
And you said something powerful when I said, I was like, well, Mr. Walker going to add some meat to his. You said that's fine.
It
But
is.
his sides
Are
are
healthy.
completely healthy.
Yeah.
And when you said that about the people who are, I have a 19-year-old, and my 19-year-old, he went plant-based with me because he's like, okay, mama, we going to do this. And I was already plant-based, but he just wanted to join his mom. And my baby almost died. Literally, because he's supposed to have some type of meat in his system according to his blood type.
Yeah.
So we try to fit everybody into one thing, and people say, oh, he don't need. I've actually had a woman in a Facebook group try to tell me, oh, well, he does not need meat. I'm like, look, the labs don't lie. And when his lab showed that he got better with just the ingestion of a little meat, he was already, he's really lean. He's like 5'11", 120. His waist is a 24-inch waist with a 34-inch seam.
Right.
So he had no more room to lose anything.
Right.
My baby is athletic. He's just tall, and some people say lanky. I don't like that word. So he had no more room to lose anything. But when you recognize, when you say, look, I ain't trying to get you off the meat right now, but just eat this as a side. Now that everybody saw this beautiful stuff, I keep looking at the time because I'm trying to hurry up and rush style so I can eat. Because if I eat, I'm gonna be smacking on air, so I ain't gonna do that. Because her food is so good, they gonna be like, look at this woman. But tell everybody, how can they order from you? Give them all of your information. You're also going to type it in the show page as well. But give everybody, you're going to type it in as the show airs. I always advise my guests to wait and then go back and replay it and put it at the top.
Okay.
So it'll be the first comment.
Okay.
But tell everybody, number one, how to contact Blissful Soul Kitchen, how to find your menu if you have one yet. If you don't, how do you do an intake to decide what they need?
Okay. Well, I have my business page on Facebook, Blissful Soul Kitchen. I also have a business page on Instagram, which is blissful_soul_kitchen. And my email is blissfulsoulkitchen1@gmail.com. And Mr. Walker has posted my business card. Okay, so what I do is I work with people to make individual meals. I am actually working on a menu because it's been highly requested. I have a lot of my clients who would like to.
We all want a menu from her, yes.
A menu. So I am manifesting that time is going to open up. I have 2 children that I take care of, work full time, and I also homeschool, as we discussed.
So let's sell her out to where she at least can get rid of the work, because we need her to cook for us
full time.
Full time. We need her to be the chef, and she can open up her food truck or restaurant or whatever she wants to do full time.
Yeah.
Make it to where she ain't never got to look back ever or worry about no money. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
So yes, I'm actually working on a menu so that I can be able to accommodate more people. However, what I do now is the best way to reach me is by texting the number that's on my card, which is 816-659-2667, and I will work with you to customize meals specifically for you, because everybody doesn't eat the same or like the same things. So that's another reason why I've somewhat shied away from a menu, because if you notice, I don't really make vegan food like a lot of other vegan spots.
Hers is way different, y'all.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
trust me when I tell you all that her vegan food, one of the things that I always say is a lot of vegan spots, I call it dirty vegan. And what I mean by dirty vegan is not a put down, because I love dirty vegan food.
Comfort food
y'all.
is good.
It is comfort food. But if you eat it too much, you know, if you eat it every single day, like I'm OMAD. So if I OMAD dirty vegan every single day, I'm still going to have issues that I've been diagnosed with. All of that stuff is going to come back.
Right. Same with me.
And it's going to exacerbate.
Yep.
So what she does is she gives you delicious. I mean, the food, y'all, is so good. And she even has a video up of a man who eats meat, and he was eating her walnut burger.
All of them. I don't have anybody that I sell to that doesn't eat meat.
Okay, so all of those people are meat eaters.
Yeah,
and
all
you
of
have
them
to
are
see you have to see their reaction to her burger. They like, this is authentic.
Yeah.
And when I bit into it, I was like, oh my goodness. I pulled over. I was driving down the street. And so I had to figure out how to keep driving and eat without dropping my food. And I was just like, forget it. I'm just going to be late. I pulled over and because it was delicious, but all of her food is absolutely delicious.
Thank you.
And so you said that they can do you want them to text you first and let you know who they are so you can, because she might be busy, so she'll have to call you all back.
Right.
And give them the number again.
816-659-2667. Yeah, and it's easier for me to keep track of it that way. Or you can inbox me. I respond to messages fairly quickly.
Okay.
So either way, but like I said, I'm working on getting a menu together so that I can have some items that people like. But as I was saying, I don't, every now and then I do comfort food. That's what that Philly was.
Yeah.
Because that was comfort food.
That was good.
Because I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I can throw down on comfort food too.
Oh man,
because I
y'all.
used to be a soul food cook.
Okay, yeah, so you already know.
I make good mac and cheese just like the next one. And my oyster mushrooms a couple of years ago were a big hit.
Was that the ones that I ordered when I was driving over the road and it was like they were fried?
Those were Lyne't. You got the oyster?
Yeah, I got the.
Oh, I can't remember. I didn't remember. Okay.
Because I came home. This is how I know it was good. Because I came home and the boys left me 3 of them.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember. They ate all of them. You ordered like 3 different things.
And they ate all the. And they was like, "Oh, mama, that was good." So I mean, they ate every single. I was like, so. They was like, well, we just didn't want them to sit till you got back. I was like, I was coming back this morning.
Oh, the way I make them, you can warm those
you can
the
warm
next
them up
day,
and they still crispy.
Yeah, they still would be crispy.
I was so mad, but they were delicious.
Yeah, because I see when I make stuff like that, it was my daughter remembers how I used to cook. You know, she remembers, and I also bake, and I mean, I make a lot of stuff. That's why I'm manifesting this team.
Yes,
because it's not just that I do. I've been doing this for years. It's in my blood. So I just need to be able to get to a point to where I can do it full time, because it really is what I love to do.
Right. And the beautiful thing is, y'all, she is about to see what being plant-based your whole life does, because she has a baby girl who has never eaten meat, never touched anything that's not plant-based. And that is the most beautiful thing for our people.
Yeah.
To go back to, because my great-grandmother, her mother was a slave, and she was freed from slavery when she was 14. And my great-grandmother said, little do people know, she told me this herself. She said, little do people know, the slaves were not allowed to eat meat. If they'd have got caught with some kind of meat, the only people who could eat the meat were the actual cooks in the kitchen, because they were tasting.
Right.
But anyone else, if they got caught even taking the fat that was thrown out, you could be beaten to death for stealing from the slave master.
And if they did, it was just a scrap.
It was just, they wouldn't even give them the scraps. She said that they wanted them scraps destroyed.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give it to them. So they had figured out that the people that came from the reservations that they enslaved and the people that they bought over the transatlantic survived better and did better with no meat in their system.
Right.
That's why they enforced the no meat.
Right. Now, let me say something about that I learned in my research. for myself, I can't remember, and I'm going to be going to the doctor here soon. I can't remember what my blood type is, but I do believe that, as we stated, there is science behind the blood type issue because it helped heal me. Whenever I did eat meat in the beginning, when I was still transitioning, meat takes longer to digest in your body than plants do. So when you have some type of gut issue, whether it's Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, or any type of IBS, and you have this meat sitting in your body, each meat digests at different points. Fish takes a certain amount of time, chicken takes a certain amount of time, beef takes a certain amount of time. So in the beginning, what I did was I stopped eating beef, and then I stopped eating chicken. And each thing that I stopped, I noticed the difference in how my symptoms went. I literally became a gastroenterologist on myself because I monitored my own bowels to see what was going on, the shape of it, and all of that. I literally studied myself like they would have done. I just didn't have all the fancy equipment, right? So as I started omitting the different fruits and vegetables, the meats, and just focused on the different vegetables, and not starchy, because a lot of people, when they switch to plant-based, they eat a lot of potatoes.
I messed up, and it shot couldn't figure out, and it shot my blood sugar.
Yes, because carbohydrates convert to sugar in our body.
I tell people the root vegetables, leave them alone. The root fruits and vegetables, leave them alone.
Yes. So, and I didn't know that in the beginning, because remember, I'm winging it. I'm doing this on my own. Exactly. So as I read more books, I learned that. So the more carbs I ate, the worse I got. As I pushed the carbs aside and ate more dark leafy green vegetables along with a little bit of the whole grains, the stools changed. And that's what a lot of people are missing. They forget about putting in those dark leafy greens, which is going to bring you some vitamin D. I love mushrooms because calcium. Calcium is in the dark leafy greens. Yeah, and then vitamin D is in the mushrooms. That's why I love mushrooms, and they are a good meat substitute, and they taste delicious. I didn't like them before I went plant-based.
Right, I didn't either.
And now I love them.
Right, I ain't even touch them on pizza.
I only ate them on pizza, but once I started playing around and learning different ways to cook them, they are a staple in our household.
Yes.
So a lot of people forget to put, and only people focus on collards or mustard, which they have. Collards are the king. They tell you it's kale, but collards really are the king of the greens.
Yes, it is.
Then it's kale.
Yes.
Okay. So I make sure we eat them almost every week.
Yes.
Swiss chard is another powerhouse.
Yes, it is. Yes,
arugula. A lot of people buy the seasonings in a jar. The basil part. No, get fresh herbs.
Get fresh herbs.
If you can grow them yourself, because that's what's in that dressing. That's parsley in there. And a lot of times I'll put things in food and people don't know it's there. Like I had to do this with my babies.
Yeah.
You have to do this with grown-ups too, because people, it's a mind thing. They'll see it and say, oh, I don't want that, or I tasted that here, and and I don't like that. I've had so many people tell me they don't eat mushrooms, and they tear up my mushrooms.
Y'all, I wasn't a mushroom. I'm not a fried mushroom eater. It got to be hidden in my food.
Right.
But when I tasted those mushrooms, and I was like, y'all ate I'm just boiling mad then, and they was like, you don't even like mushrooms, so how you mad? But it's delicious. And y'all are getting an education here, because she's giving you information that you definitely have to research deep. And for her to just point out, the carbohydrates in the root vegetables, and how some people, are allergic to nightshades, but you can eat heirloom.
Right.
I know she knows what she's talking about, because I tell people, I can't eat tomatoes. I'm allergic to nightshades, but you can give me some heirlooms and I can eat them. True. It's weird.
That's because the plants changed over time.
Yes.
It's not, and this is why I decided not to stick with, I did the alkaline thing, and this is not to discredit anyone, because as you heard in my bio, I listened to a lot of different elders, but you have to learn to do what works for your body. Sometimes we get caught up in these different, I don't know the word to use, but I don't want to say trends, because it's not a trend.
It's not a trend, but different lifestyles.
Exactly, different lifestyles from different teachers. And so we don't think about what would work for us. Because I seen a post on Instagram about lentils, and about how lentils have lectins in them. See, I do my research, and sometimes lectins can disrupt your gut. Yes. Just like the tomatoes can.
Tomatoes
so
can, yes.
it depends on your body. lentils don't affect me.
And see, lentils affects me great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So see, that's the thing. I can eat in lentils and be okay. We eat every different lentils. I make patties, burgers, flatbread with them.
Yes.
I do so much with them.
Yes, yes.
So they are a big staple in my house. Lentils are high in protein. So that pasta you're eating is made with lentils.
Oh, I'm gonna tear it up anyway.
It's no extra additives in there.
Let me tell y'all this one thing. I am severely allergic to anything milk or lactose, and macaroni and cheese used to be my favorite. I just I just let it come out I drink a whole bunch of water, push it out the other end. I have no shame. I am definitely eating this food, y'all. Just know.
I want to say this before I forget. When I went plant-based, I also decided to recreate all of my favorite foods. That's how that came about, because my daughter and I loved Alfredo.
Yes.
We loved shrimp Alfredo.
Yes.
I still have a lot of my old pics from when I went plant-based. I could show you a picture of one of my shrimp Alfredos, and I had changed the pasta to dairy-free, but we still had shrimp in there when I was pescatarian. And then,
cameras are moving.
And then also Mexican food. I had stopped eating Chinese when I was probably 13. I got food poisoning. However, I still wanted to be able to accommodate people. So that's why I came up with the orange chicken, the fried oyster mushrooms with the orange sauce. And I created the orange sauce myself to replace orange chicken. And then I made my own version of fried rice. And
if y'all have not been convinced to call her, and I don't care if you're not plant-based. I at this point, just let her do your sides. When you don't feel like cooking, throw your meat in the crock pot, and then just tell her, hey, we got the meat in the crock pot. Can you do my sides for me?
Yeah.
You know, let's because this is a treasure. And I tell people she's one of 2 plant-based companies that I personally, I've tried just about everyone in Kansas City who's plant-based. I've bought their merchandise. I was telling her she's got to start selling the Blissful Soul Kitchen shirts. I've bought their merchandise. Everyone who's plant-based, and there's one of 2. I'm not going to mention the other one right now because this is her show, but if you look on my page, you'll see I promote them as well. They have the alkaline water as well as plant-based, but they both cook 2 different things.
Yeah.
They both cook 2 completely different ways. And both of them are extremely healthy. They care for your health. And one thing I will tell anyone, when I first tasted her food, I was trucking, so I wasn't eating healthy. And I came in, ate the food, laid down, went to go get back up for because my 10 hours was over, and went to go back to work. And I would probably lay down and sleep for like 2 or 3 hours, hop back up because it took me an hour to get to work. So your 10 hours is eaten up. I hopped up. I woke up. I was like, whoa, I got energy. I ate her food. And I mean, I was wolfing, sitting up there on Facebook, eating, to the point where when I laid down, when I woke up, I should have not felt good. Felt good. I hopped up and was energized throughout. I'm driving down the street singing all loud, got one foot on the dashboard in my truck. Yeah, I promise y'all, I felt so good that it was something on my bunk behind my seat, and I was like, can I set my steering wheel and reach back here? Because it's your food. It literally is so healing that when it hits the digestive system, it wakes you up.
Yeah.
And it lightens you up. And so that's the reason why I'm bringing you here. I'm letting everybody know she's going to be back even more. Even if you just take a short segment like Jorge does for Fuller for the People, because I know you have babies. Yeah. But this is important to me. And I tell everybody 2022 is the year of health. So the last question that I'm going to ask you is, when people call in and when they call in and they say, I don't know what to order, what would you advise everyone to order first?
Well, right now, because it's cold, I'm advising people to order things that's going to warm their body and heal them up. I have a fantastic lentil black bean chili.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually shared it on my story today. And I've shared it with several people. I sold it at a pop-up and sold out of it. I had one of the guys that was at the location. I never met him before, but he worked where we was at, and he came and got like 2 or 3. He said, "That is so good." I was like thinking in
I'm
my head,
telling
"You're
y'all,
back for
it
more."
is,
You
it
just
is.
ordered. You just got one.
So go ahead and give everybody your information again. Talk slow so that
Okay.
they, just in case they got a pen and piece of paper, they can write it out. Go ahead.
Okay. On Facebook, I have my business page, Blissful Soul Kitchen, and also on IG, Blissful underscore kitchen. I'm sorry, Blissful underscore soul underscore kitchen. My number is 816-659-2667, or you can email me at blissfulsoulkitchen1@gmail.com.
We want to thank you so much for joining the Lyne't Gray Show. I am so happy. I finally
you
got
for
her on
having
here,
me.
y'all. And she had a long year just getting everything situated and getting her job and still being a homeschool mom. And she is for the total holistic
Yes.
health of her family,
Yes.
not just physical, but mental, educational, spiritual. And so that's why I admire her so much. And I want to thank you again for joining the Lyne't Gray Show. Like I said, you're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone, even if you're not a vegan or plant-based, I call myself plant-based. My mama said no flesh. Even if you're not none of that, call her and let her do your food, and you can just eat it as sides. I promise you, it's way better than going to the fast food restaurants. Way better than getting something frozen. We manifesting her going to have something healthy and frozen
Yes,
somewhere, you
in the
know,
stores,
we
yeah.
in these stores to give us all a chance at health. So I want to thank Blissful Soul Kitchen, Janisha Lachey, for coming on the Lyne't Gray Show.
Thank
I want to
you.
thank my son Jorge Fuller for the people. His computer kept rebooting, so he lost us on the feed. But replay the whole show. Don't forget, give her a call. Let's get her so busy with her business that she's making money, that she gets her team, that she never looks back. 2022 is the year for health. I wish everybody joy, love, peace, happiness, health, wealth, well-being, total enlightenment, prosperity, success, affluence, abundance, and a whole lot of money if you want it. I will see y'all next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Take care. Bye-bye.